to all of you all joining us on another Monday night for XGen and Millennial Night Monday nights. This is week number 2 of our Fly on the Wall conversation. My name is Christopher McClure. I am the founder and visionary of the summit under the leadership of my pastor, Pastor S.N. Winston Jr. and the Mount Calvary Church. I have been so excited and elated of just the transparency that has taken place from right here on this stage. We have made this our own little room. And we have been able to come up with some very transparent conversation. All last week, I was beginning to get feedback from you all who just like the honesty that we brought forth, not on something that you know every day, but for the different types of backgrounds that we bring to the table to discuss, just see different perspectives and viewpoints from our very own lives. And so tonight, we're just going to do the same exact thing, and I pray to keep this going. Because in the times that we're living, and you will not hear a sermon every week, you will not hear a pastor squealing or yelling. But one of the best revelations that we should ever get is from each other, and from each other being honest and transparent about where we come from and about where we're trying to go. So tonight we have a very special topic that we're going to talk about. I'll let Brother Cornelius bring that in a second. But before we jump right in, just join me for a word of prayer while you're sitting right in your homes. And then let's let the Lord have his way with this discussion with me and my brothers here, all right? Dear Lord, first off, we thank you. We thank you for letting us get the opportunity to see this day that we've never seen before. We thank you for the grace that we missed the mark today. We thank you for the grace of getting to see tomorrow. God, we thank you for the purpose that you instilled in us, knowing that we won't be like everybody else, but you have called us for a specific assignment. And Lord, let us stay faithful to that assignment. Lord, I thank you for the barriers that you put in the way of us, not for our destruction, but to create us into the men and women of God that you have called us to be. I thank you for everything that we have gone through, not for our failure, but so that you can see us succeed. God, I ask during this moment right now, you just bring transparency. I ask that you break down walls in the moment. I ask that you bring vulnerability to the lives of these young men as we speak, so that we can have real conversation that won't bring glory to us, but it'll bring all the glory to you. God, I ask that you just have your way. We don't follow any script. We don't follow any routine, but wherever you want this conversation to go, whatever you want somebody to hear while they're sitting in their homes, I ask that you make it happen. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. So what we'll do is, Brother Cornelius will go ahead and tell us what the discussion topic is for this week and why he came up with it. And then we'll just begin to talk from there. I don't think we're going to follow any specific order. Let's just see where it goes.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
How y'all been doing this week?
We are good.
Good.
We tired.
Listen, I feel like everybody up here is tired today.
Yeah.
So just like last week, we started off talking about the sermon that Pastor Sam preached that previous Sunday.
Yep.
And I think we're going to follow the same suit. And I don't think too many of you guys were here Sunday to hear the sermon.
We were not.
Just like last week. So let's see what happens. This week's topic is division. Can you tell us what division means to you, Brother D?
Sure thing. I guess simply put, division means just split. There are two sides to something, whether it be people or conflict or just an item. There are two sides to it. It can be divided up maybe two ways, maybe multiple ways, now that I'm thinking about it. But that would be my simple answer for division.
Brother Biko?
I will go ahead and agree with him. Division is simply just a separation of anything, separation of opinions, actions, intentions, whatever have you. And yeah, I would just agree simply as that.
Pastor?
I think division is not seeing eye to eye, whether it's with a person, whether it's with a situation. It's where two things don't meet even ground. There's always a separation, whether that's from reality to dreams or whatever. It's just a separation from where you want to be to where God has called you to be, anything of the sorts. I think it's just flat out a line of uneven ground.
So is it fair to say that in our lives, we all have what we would call a foundation?
Yeah.
We're all trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm understanding, and I did get the privilege of hearing Sunday's sermon, division has little to do with the dividing of numbers, but the separation of the foundational truth, right? So, what he gave us Sunday was the idea that we all pretend to be on the same page or believe that we're on the same page, but then from the cracks of those foundations, we find different realities. You say that you're with me, you say that you're for us, you say, but when it comes time to look back at it, you was really doing your own thing. So talk to me when if you were your younger you, how has life divided within yourself?
Who gonna take that one?
How has life divided me from my younger me?
Yep.
From the younger version
Where
of me?
you thought you should be versus where you are today, was there any division that happened within yourself? Any self-sabotage?
Yeah, I've had self-sabotage for sure. Now, the vision in where I thought I would be, not so much so, because I've kind of followed suit with my ABC plans or goals for the most part since I've been a kid. Has it been drug out? Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that would be a thing of still not being where I thought, but I don't think I've ever put an age on it.
So you feel like you have not divided and conquered yourself into two different facets, meaning what you thought you would be doing, you're kind of on that path. You haven't found yourself saying, I don't deserve or I don't need something, so what I thought I wanted, I won't go after?
Yeah, like on track for the map that you set.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on track. Like, so first thing would have been sports. So once, okay, you get to a point, can't play sports no more, it's the next. So in general, on track with, again, like I said, my ABCD. But of course, if A could have just worked out for everybody, then, I mean, that just would have been that. But in general, on track with, all right, it's still just flowing through, and we're going to see where it lands. But it's still on course of what I've always pictured, I guess.
So I hear from him is the word maturity.
Yeah.
He didn't divide himself, he matured his own plan. What about you, Pastor?
I'm not really on the same track as him, and it just may be from different backgrounds. Like, for me, I always felt like I want more, whether that's monetary, whether that's where I am in life. I always felt like I want more. Like, I live a comfortable life. I live a great life. I enjoy it. I get what I not only need, but I get what I want. I still wake up with I'm in the wrong place. So it's where what I think God has called me for, or, where I feel like I should be, I'm not there, because you match it up to, now we have social media, but like when you look in the comparison, like some of the greats who are in the career that you want to be in, Martin Luther King died by the age of 33? And so he accomplished all that by the age of 33. Here I am at my age, and I only got 10 years to get to where he was, and I'm already off track. By my age, he done had a doctorate degree. He had already led a civil walk, all this. So I always look at myself in comparison to the people that I look up to, as far as my grandfather, my uncle, because they are great in what I want to be. So I always see a disconnect or things that I do differently than them. Not saying they won't get me there, but I'm just not on the same pace that I see them at. My uncle was pastoring by 27. I can't see myself pastoring by 27. So I just always see a disconnect or division because I just don't match up to the people that I look up to.
So he said maturity, and I hear you talking about comparison. Go ahead.
To hit on that, I feel like you don't feel like you're matching up to what you thought they were doing.
Yeah, because it's only one perspective for sure. And nor do I even know what they felt in the moment, because they may be looking up to something else and being like, hey, I'm not there. But I even get hard on myself. Like, if we even talk about, I feel like I'm ahead of my time in certain aspects because, and y'all know I'm a preacher, but the Bible is what I know. Jesus didn't start ministry till 30 years old and only did 3 years of ministry. Here we are 2,000 years later, and we still talking about him. I've been doing ministry for 4 years, and the city barely know my name. So it's like, yeah, like, So it's always a comparison. Do I think it take maturity? Yeah, because it take me to ground like, yeah, I got to make my own map and I got to do my own thing, and I may still get there or may even reach beyond them. But it's like, hey, I need this to move faster. So my division is in my reality versus my prophecy.
That's deep. Brother D?
So I'll just say that I believe right now I'm at a place where I'm good with where I've come and where I've been and things like that. But I would say as a kid, sometimes you think you'll be a little bit further along. Not saying you're not on the right path, but sometimes you just think you're gonna be a little bit more, for me, maybe mature, or
More successful.
house, like a house. I don't know. As a kid, you think of these things as being like you really doing it once you get that. As you get older, you see those things don't define you, but you still on the same path. I would say, for me, sometimes I feel like I should have took more initiative for things growing up. Not extracurriculars, but like trying out for stuff that people didn't do, like
Yeah.
debate club. You know what I'm saying? Like really putting myself in situations where it really challenged me. So I think I'm good where I'm at, but I feel like there's certain things you don't know until you get older.
You want more.
Yeah.
So I think the three of you, none of you all are talking about that you feel like you divided yourself. You just feel like you haven't necessarily got to the end result of where you thought you would be at this age.
Yeah, I think it's just accepting your reality or
Mm-hmm.
accepting where you are. Not saying you don't want more, but even when he said like as a kid, you look differently as a kid than where you are now. Like, and I'm not even old, but as a kid, every kid on my middle school team thought they was going to the NBA. So like he said stuff that he wanted to do differently. I wish I would have accepted reality early. Like I would have, if I would have thought of stuff differently then, it would have been more of, hey, basketball not going to take me to the NBA, but basketball can get me to college and it can pay for college and I can get out and do what I want. But nobody's thinking that as you're growing up is, hey, I'm not getting the D1 looks or I'm not getting the blah, blah, blah. Not even knowing that that's not even going to be nothing that's worth anything now. Like anytime I talk to my parents about basketball memories or anything or soccer, I owe them an apology, like, because they wasted thousands of dollars on like AAU, on like select soccer, and that crap don't mean nothing now. Like they should have had me in preaching boot camps or anything, like. But I was so.
I mean, it probably molded you though.
Yeah, it helped me. It gave
got
me
you
bonds.
out, got you around people.
Yeah, it gave me leadership skills, all that. But I mean, that I wasn't looking for that stuff. I was looking at what was gonna make me be the people that I saw on TV. What was gonna make me the next Kevin Garnett? What was gonna make me the next Kevin Durant? Instead of being like, hey, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I'll never forget. I was a sophomore in high school, and God told me like, hey, you're supposed to preach. And I remember being in the lunchroom at school, sitting by myself in the corner and asking God, like, can you please wait till I graduate? Like, and I'm sitting here still trying to be a basketball star, knowing this wasn't going to mean nothing after I graduate. But I'm still trying, like, going on college visits, all that. But it's like God had already told me what I was going to do. So I got out of I got out of high school, kept going on college visits. God kept smacking door after door in my face, like, to the point where I even talked to my uncle one day, and he was like, hey, do your nose hurt? And I was like, why? He was like, because God keep closing doors in your face. Like, you know what you're supposed to be doing. I'm just like, nah. It literally pushed me to the point where after rejection after rejection after rejection, I ended up going to Central State, ended up getting hooked with a group called Athletes in Action, went to South Africa, and finally was just like, hey, I'm going to preach. And when I came back, it started moving so smoothly. Like, I wasn't fighting against nothing. But still, I'm not where I want to be.
Well, so let's do this. What were the relationships that you guys thought would be forever that divided you from where you are versus where you thought you'd be?
Hello?
I mean, the crickets started chirping.
You said, what are relationships
What
that
are the
I'm divided from that I thought would have lasted forever?
Yep.
I mean, outside of like losing people to death or something like that.
I mean, you can even talk about them, though.
Yes.
Because I think them the ones that hurt the most. Like,
Oh,
I
I
can
can
get
s-
over a
yeah.
bad breakup, but my grandpa, you could have never told me he wasn't going to be here. Like, never. even when I had a dream one night that my grandpa passed away, my mom had to take me to his house just to prove to me that he was still there. And my grandpa told me, like, hey, when I pass away, I'll make sure to tell you before I go. So I'm at 11 years old, like, okay, he ain't never told me nothing, like, and even when he did pass away, he told me, like, that he was going to pass away, like, and it was in the smoothest way possible. Like, the doctor was like, hey, you have a sickness, da-da-da, so you can either do this or do that. And he was like, I think we're only discussing 2 out of 3 options. And I'm like, and he winked at me like, oh, you trying to sneak out of here. Like, but it's like, I could have never thought that would have ended, nor could I even thought my family could have survived without him. So it's just like, that's the stuff that break you. I can get over a girlfriend because it's plenty of girls in the world. I can get over, Lord forgive me, you know I didn't mean nothing, but.
Pastor, you're going too fast.
I'm just saying, but them the relationships that really break you, like, it was nice that I couldn't sleep, like, that I felt like he was there and he wasn't, like, or I felt like he went on a vacation and never came back, like, that stuff really broke me. It took me a second to even find myself after that. Like, I never knew life without him. So that's the stuff that break me, or the relationships that break me.
Tell me something, Biko.
So mine, since you're saying we can speak on that, mine will possibly be my little cousin. We were real close in age or whatever. That's somebody that I never thought I wouldn't be seeing in my 30s or past. Like, he's one of the people, like, even though he had an illness, kind of like nah, you gonna be there. I don't even see how you here now, but you here. Like, you keep being here type, you feel me? But like, that was one. And then other than that, honestly, like, when I have conversations with people and I talk about, like, my past as a child or something like that, I feel like I came to realization with division of relationships early as a kid, because I felt like it was things I was looking for and I wasn't getting it. And I started accepting it early on that I have to adjust and adapt.
So I feel like we're touching something there. Talk a little bit more about, because in 2020 we call it trauma. Tell me what that looks like for you when somebody who you thought would be there for longer than they were had to leave the earth.
Okay, so on that topic, as far as leaving the earth,
or leaving your life.
some of the divisions that I have, they haven't left my life. They're still around.
It just didn't
As
play
far
into
as
the role that they
the role or the embracement of, you feel me, that was kind of a detached situation or whatever. And then as far as my cousin with him passing, that division more so is a thing of where I guess sometimes I just sit back and look and just be like, dang, how are you not here?
Yeah.
Like, certain instances or just certain, like, moments where it's kind of like a
Slap in the face.
yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, you supposed to be in this corner at some point to an extent. Or even just, you might even start looking at some things and be like, man, you almost were my scapegoat from reality to where I'm bouncing off of you, cuz, like, man, we just gonna sit here. Because I'm not even that he was out of touch reality, but he was so in his own realm of things, kind of like okay, this, or we kind of related to each other on thought patterns or interactions or bonds or whatever have you, that I felt like probably would never be broke or matched maybe or something like that to a degree. But overall, everything else I can say, I feel like I came to realization of the ability to adjust or adapt to certain divisions early on.
So what do losing those, even though it's a loss, right? What do losing those people or those things out your life, how do you think it made you who you are today? My fault if that's too, you know what I mean?
Okay, so losing my cousin, I can't say it.
Not even just that particular, but
I'm saying just
yeah.
that, just because that's losing him, I would almost say or I guess I just because I don't know how to speak on that one at this moment. But losing like the division of another person that might be still here or something like that, I feel like along the way, as I got older, it made me confused or lost at times on how to
Deal.
deal with certain stuff or interactions or how to even grow properly because now it's like you look for certain stuff at a young age and then you're not getting it. So now it's like, okay, so how do I go find it on my own?
Yeah.
Because one, I wasn't even taught how to do it, nor do I even know in which direction to look for it in because the person I was looking for it through or whatever, they're not there. So then I don't necessarily want to replace you with somebody else, but how else do I go about looking for it? The things that I may or may not need in my life to grow or become who I'm trying to become.
So we're going to come back to that word
Yeah.
replace. I want to hear from Brother Devin. What is losing a relationship, whether it's life or people that you thought were supposed to be there for a day longer than they are? What does that look like for you?
So for me, I would say me and Chris had kind of a similarity to some extent. I lost my grandfather unexpectedly, though. So I had always pictured my grandfather as like the epitome, like what a man was supposed to look like. You know, somebody that I could always look to as an example. I thought he still is, but like the strongest man I knew. And you know, unexpected circumstances just took him out the picture. And I think it was still, I mean, we still growing. We still, as men, we're growing each and every day. But even as a young man, I feel like there's still a lot that was to be learned, a lot to be gained. Do I still think I'm going to learn all those lessons? Yes, because I don't think there are no detours. You know, there are detours, but you still gonna get to where you're supposed to be. And so even though there's an absence, there was also kind of a feeling for me too, because I feel like even with kings and just people in general, when one person leaves, sometimes the next person has to fill in. And sometimes that wisdom and that type of integrity and that thing that person had, I feel like it's somehow that person has to pick up the baton. You know what I mean? So even though it feels like it's a loss, you know, and it's still a loss, I feel like I still am like I'm learning from him without him even being around. You know what I mean?
So he's saying he's following you now, right? So let's talk about what replacement looks like, right? So in theory, we had these people that were supposed to be a part of our life forever. At some point, they had to leave in whatever capacity. And then you mentioned the word replacement. What does it feel like in 2020 to have to find a replacement fix versus having the original plan?
Before we even tackle replacement, I think the tough part is trying to salvage like a relationship before you have to replace it. Like, of course, we talk about people who left life unexpectedly, but like, what about the people that's placed in your life and they don't want to play to the role, but yet you still doing your part, or still trying to make them play their part, and trying to salvage the relationship? Not saying I want to replace you, but like I still need to get this aspect of my life filled, but here I am trying to, salvage this because, you was placed here, or
Yeah, but in all fairness, though, I think both of the gentlemen, including you, talked about a death or a permanent separation.
yeah.
So in order before we can get to a separation that you're speaking of, we've got to deal with the core of somebody is forever gone in this capacity.
Yeah, I don't know. For replacement, I could never. Like, I think it's tools that you pick up, you know what I mean? Like, in my mind, my grandfather would have taught me to be the best preacher, pastor ever. And I don't think I can replace my grandfather. My uncle taught me how to preach literally from hands-on, from how to write a sermon, how to present one, period, point blank. I know business aspects. I know leadership aspects from also you and from also my uncle. And those are skills that I feel like my grandfather should have been there to teach me. As far as like being a man, I had my dad in my life, so he taught me how to be a man. Like, and of course he wasn't, the affectionate, holding, kiss you goodnight type, but taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to be responsible. So those aspects I feel like I didn't miss. But like, as far as I would never call another nobody grandpa. Like, I didn't meet my grandpa on my dad's side. This was the only grandpa I ever knew. So I would never call nobody else grandpa. I would never even look at nobody else as a grandpa because, like, I had a bomb grandpa, like the type that pick you up from school, let you come kicking in his office for the whole day. You can spend the night, you sleep on the floor by his bed all day. You wake up with him, y'all eat smoothies, cut grass, all that. Any memory it was made, like, my grandpa was from Alabama, and everything we did, like, was from his growing up. So I felt like I even grew up with him because the stuff he taught us. Like, my grandpa had us living in the city killing chickens. Like, but it's like, yeah, I can say that I did that because of him, but I can never replace him. I don't feel like I can ever replace him. Not saying I don't need that love, not saying I don't need that covering, but I can never look at nobody else like he was him, ever. And that's just me. On the chin.
So when I, so replacement for me would be, I don't necessarily ever look at it like I'm trying to replace this person, nor do I feel like how he said, trying to salvage things, this and the third, whatever. Like, some things aren't salvageable because so much time has passed. So in turn,
So since we're turning the corner, you got to now define the type of relationship that you're talking about. So when you're talking about salvageable relationships, what type of relationships are we talking about?
That could be any though, right?
Yeah, that could be, I mean, honestly, that could be any. But so what I'm talking about, as far as like how Chris said, okay, Chris said he had his grandfather, blah, 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 whatever. So I would be more so speaking on family members or friends or people that you felt like a friend, this gonna be my dog forever, or me and my brothers might be tight forever. Me and my father or uncles or something might be like this. And when it's not that, and then so much time has passed, and that's where some things can not be salvageable, because at some point it's just we need to come to an understanding or agreement of this is what it is, or this is how you're going to be, and I have to stop reaching for you to be something else and just mold myself to adjust and be like, okay, now I just gotta do something different so that way I may or may not be that to someone else.
It's beating on the chest.
Honestly, don't like. There is no replacement. To me, I feel like I am that replacement. I know it sounds funny, but
No, that sounds
I feel like it's just me. I am now that, and I try to take on that. It sounds weird, but in my head it makes sense.
No, that's real. Like, I feel like when you lose somebody, you accept their responsibility. It's like, I'll never forget at my grandpa's funeral, this lady walked up to me, and I couldn't even tell you to this day who it was. And if this you, ma'am, I want you to know nothing against you. But she walked up to me and my grandpa's funeral and told me, like, it's time to be the man now.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, how dare you say that to me? Like, this, I just buried my grandpa, like, and I'm just as a young age, I took it as a disrespect, like, but now as I take it as an honor, because it's like, you could have said that to anybody, and not saying she didn't say it to nobody else in my family, but I felt like with that, I did pick up the responsibility. Yes, I'm my grandma's grandson, but like figuratively, I feel like I'm her husband, like, and I don't go checking for her. I don't make sure she in bed by a certain time, but if she needs something, my grandma will never go without. Like, I will give my last because I know my grandfather would do that for her. So I picture my family as a tree, and my grandpa was the trunk, and so we just all branches, and when you lose the tree, you think that branches just gonna fall, but like, we still standing. So like, I feel like I accepted that to make sure that nobody goes without, and that's just not monetary. That's, okay, you having trouble, or let me come here, or let me call this for you, or let me see what I can do, because I feel like when you lose somebody out your life like that, like, you have to pick up the responsibility because they will want you to. And it make it hard sometimes, though, because it's like, I didn't ask for this, or I didn't think that I would ever have to do this, or he was doing this at 7 years old. I'm in my 20s, but like, you you would want to see them succeed like he would want them to succeed. So yeah, make it pressure, but it's like,
So I think, do you all ever feel divided as young men? Like, it sounds like in that statement alone that you feel like you've got to carry 6 different things at any given moment.
yeah,
So talk to me about being in your 20s, 30s, and what it feels like being divided. Because for me, it starts out at, I thought I was going to do this by this age, but then life happens.
Yeah.
And then you find out that all the attention that you wanted to give to this one thing, you're now having to give it to multiple things. So talk to me about that.
Gotta laugh first, right? It's a challenge. I think everything is a challenge, but at the same time, like I feel like everything is something that I'm growing from. No matter how difficult or no matter how many places I feel like I have to be, I just feel like that's the role. That's what I inherited. I know it sound weird, but just like being a man or things like that, like there are certain roles that you feel the tug. You feel like you gotta be there. You gotta play a role here. I feel like for me, there are certain things that I'm learning as I'm growing. I'm taking on new roles, so I have to think about
like what?
which ones, becoming a husband and things like that.
Wait, what did he just say?
He said he's becoming a husband.
You're becoming a husband.
Yeah.
Well, I'm there.
Oh, you
what
are
I'm
a
saying?
husband.
I'm there.
Oh,
I'm there.
praise the
Tell
Lord.
me what he did.
But you have to figure out as you take on new roles, what can you leave behind too? And I feel like as an adult, or as I don't want to just put it to men, but as an adult, no matter if you are in all these roles, they're not forever. You have to figure out which ones
And when to say goodbye.
which ones are you going to continue to grow in.
Yeah.
I think is the main thing, and which ones aren't you not going to grow in. But I feel like you'll forever be having multiple hats.
Did I understand you to say, though, that it's okay to not pick up every hat you've been given?
I say that, but it's easier said than
Then
done.
done, yeah. And I think even what he's saying is, okay, I love the way that he put it, not just men. It applies to anybody, women included. When you talk about growing, it literally brings the aspect that people say all the time to reality, growing pains. And that literally represents what you go through. Like, yeah, I feel like I'm growing, but that don't make it feel any better. Like, do I think I picked up more responsibility than I have ever imagined? Yeah. And it seems good. And it's one thing we talked about last week was perspective. Like, to the outside, people be like, yeah, you killing it. You doing it in business. You doing it in ministry. You working at the group home. Yeah, you working at the church. Yeah, you president of OBGC. Yeah, you this, that, and the other. But, like, they see that, but they don't see the nights where I go to sleep from 12 to 9 and still wake up tired. Like, or they don't see the moments where I be like at a meeting and be like, oh crap, I forgot I got another meeting at da-da-da. I still keep a full calendar and still wind up late to the meetings. And it's like, yeah, or I got to be here, but my family need this. Or my grandma said, can I run her to the store? And the next thing I know, we at Sam's Club, Kroger, and Meijer, and I was supposed to be here by 6 o'clock. So it's like I'm being stretched out so thin. And yes, I think I'm growing. Yes, I think I'm picking up responsibility. Yes, I'm still here for the young people. And I think I'm growing as a mentor. I think I'm growing as a husband in my own way, shape, or fashion. But I'm picking up all these skills as I go, but that don't make it easier as I do it.
Brother Biko, you're a father, correct?
Correct.
You're 31.
One.
When you were 15, could you have imagined being a father today?
I for sure could have imagined it. And honestly, I can imagine myself being the type of father that I am. So when they talk about multiple hats or X, Y, and Z or whatever case may be, I don't feel like I've been stretched thin because I feel like certain roles I've been playing them so long that it's kind of been
Accepted as the norm.
It's been accepted as a norm for me. So that even goes back to them saying like how they have to feel shoes now. I've been feeling those shoes to an extent. So like when they say they lost their grandparents and stuff like that or whatever, and they feeling shoes, so they step up. So it's like it's not really replacing. It's just now I'm feeling this. My thing is I've been kind of that all along for the most part. Like I've always been that rock for my family, friends, whoever the case may be. I've always been that person to be the center of everything, that pulls everything together, to shirt off my back dude, to make sure this happens for everybody dude, to cutting hair at 13, 14 years old, so I'm cutting everybody or certain little stuff. So it's like I've kind of been that. So with my thing is picking up hats has never been an issue. It's more so been the thing of when you put those hats down at night, what's left for you?
Woo! Go into that a little bit more, Pete.
Please go into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So now you picking up all these hats. So like how you said you stretch thin or just whatever. I feel like I've matured past the phase of accepting what I'm supposed to be or do as a man. That's easy. So I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. It's never been sweat off my back.
What happened in your life to get you to that realization?
How I said, as a young age, I've had to adjust and accept certain realities or phases of I have to do this, or it's me. I gotta make it happen, or I can't keep depending on other people, even though I may want to, or I'm pulling at that tab, or whatever case may have you, or I may be calling out or reaching out for some type of whatever, but at the end of the day, I gotta wake up and move forward. I gotta wake up and walk. I can't just keep sitting there and necessarily whatever. So, I mean, you just get to that point to where it's,
So, Pastor Chris, you just laid out a Rolodex of things that you have to do in a day. What does failure look like in your Rolodex?
I don't know. I don't think I have failed. I think one thing that I have done, and it's not really nothing that I did, it's just something I'm blessed with, I guess. Like, I'm really connected with some cool people, you know what I mean? Like, not even cool people to accept me on church side or cool people to accept me in the secular world, but it's like I'm connected with people in my life who don't allow me to fail. Like, even with you, like, we work together on projects. Even if I fail or if I fail to you, when you go out to the public, you'll never let them know that I fail. Or so I don't really know what failure seems like because I've been with a lot of people who, number one, don't let me accept failure, and then number two, who protect me from it or protect it from being perception of failure.
So you're saying family or a network will help you get to where you want to go privately and publicly?
Yeah, or even if you fail privately, they'll never let the public know about it. Like, I have failed. Like, I have failed as a preacher. I have failed on a moral side. I have failed as a leader. I have failed as Chris himself. But it's like, y'all will never know about it. Like, y'all may see me slip up, but y'all won't see me fall.
What caused you to say that you failed at any of those things?
Because I feel like, and this is transparency, ministry is the only line of business, any only line of career where you are held to a moral conduct. And it's not even moral to what you think is moral, it's moral to what people perceive as moral. And so even I never feel like
if you did not live up to that again,
and
how do you fail when it's somebody else's perception?
Okay, cool. Watch this.
You can't fail based off someone else's perception.
I'm not even saying as far as failure as me failing, right? I'm going to always feel like I hit the mark for myself, right? Or even if I slip up and miss a meeting, like I charge it to my mind, not my heart, right? But when we talk about perception of like the line of business that I'm in, like, cool, you a barber. So let's say, you chopped me up, you screwed me, you messed me up, you have my hairline going this way. Because I'm cool with you, I'm going to let this haircut go home with me, and I'm going to wait till it grow back, and you're going to come back and you're going to fix it. But I'll be dead wrong if I get on the internet and be like, look how Biko did me, this and the other. Doesn't mean you're a bad barber, just mean you had a bad day.
Nah, it might mean you're a bad barber. You might want to put them clippers down for a minute, cuz.
But I'm just saying, so like even to the fact of ministry, yeah, you may see me doing something and not know the full context, but I'm around people who don't let it get too far, I guess. Y'all know my flaws, literally my flaws. But guess what? The stuff y'all know, y'all condemn me for it. Y'all tell me I need to fix it. We done had conversations, and he not even my Christian friend. Like, but we done had conversations. But it's like it stays between us. We don't get on here and be like, hey.
Yeah, but I think he's reaching for something a little deeper than the quick knee-jerk answer. I think ask your question again, please.
What is failure to me?
No.
When?
Why do you consider yourself to have failed at certain?
Only time I consider myself as failure is when ignorance is not involved, where I feel like I knew better but chose not to do better. That's just period. That's when I consider myself as failure or fail, or when I knew I could do that.
So then what's the difference in doing something flawed and then failing at something?
Oh, simply. What?
I was about to cuss or something.
I
told you I
keep
ain't
it
cussing, bro.
Nah. Doing something flawed, I mean, cool. Like, I think doing something flawed is more to the fact of like, you finished a race and it wasn't a perfect run, but literally failing is not even striving to finish the race, starting it knowing you won't finish it.
Flawed is like putting the work in, but it not coming out exactly
Yeah.
like you wanted to. A failure is not putting in the work at all. That's how I was kind of.
So again,
So
I ask
are you-
him,
Preach,
why
Pastor
do
Dave.
he feel as though he failed at anything? If
See,
you put
that-
the work in, it was just flawed. You never became a failure. You never failed.
So what I think he's saying that you're not hearing is that you've admitted to failure. And
Yeah.
his thing is
And you've never failed.
you've never failed.
You've
like,
just been
Ah,
flawed. You've
disagree.
just been flawed as a human.
flawed.
Yeah.
Because you're human. You can make a mistake, but you have not finished your
Yeah.
race or whatever have you in any aspect in life. So to say that I failed,
And then if I can sound like a preacher for a second.
Please do, because I'm about to.
I
Get on the
think-
organizer.
I think even your Bible keeps that same
Yeah.
standard because, right, every new his mercies or his grace is new every morning.
Yeah.
You put it down at night and you wake up new.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's talking about.
But even if we talk about private failures, I have failed because there have been times where I feel like I didn't try. I think I live a life based off of favor and grace, right? I don't know the moment of like having to, you know how people like get it out the mud? I don't
But
know
I
that.
think you're saying the same thing he's saying, except he's trying to get you to own the word as flawed. Because
Yeah,
there may
and
be
I accept flaws, but I also know I have failed in certain moments. Like, because I rely on, if I can't open the door, I know there's people around me that'll open the door for me. Or I feel like it's been moments where I didn't want to put in little work and get the most show. Or I know I have those moments. So I think I do have flawed moments, right? Moments where I strive and I just mess up. And yeah, but there's moments where I be like, yeah, this is the project that got to be done. And I'll lay down like it's still going to get done.
I still think he's saying something a
doesn't
little
mean anything.
different. Yeah.
That's not failing.
Because-
That's laziness.
because you said if something's still gonna get done without you doing it, that's not you failing.
But there's times
You
where
didn't do it.
hasn't-
You knew it was gonna get done regardless.
that's
You
what
just didn't have to do it.
That's
Chris.
where I thought it was going to get done. There's just stuff that hasn't come to pass because I didn't get up off my tail to do it.
But then that's
Does that mean you
laziness.
failed?
That's still, it failed.
He failed. I feel like he failed on his part.
Yeah,
to
I failed as a me.
accomplish,
Forget
to
what
do
they-
the task to get to that point.
And I'm the one that still knows that it didn't come to pass.
How do
because of-
you fail if you've never even tried
Tried.
to do it?
I like
Nah,
Vigo.
It doesn't
That's
make
real.
any
I
sense.
like you, Vigo. You talk like I want to
So
talk.
this is
but
my
I'm
whole thing.
afraid
I
to.
feel like there's never failure for the most part.
Yes, and if you feel like there's never.
Cannot
Can we
tune it up.
please give him a few?
Yeah, Devin.
Go ahead, Dev. Go ahead, Dev.
Because I feel like you can fail at stuff when you don't put in your all or when you don't give it proper time.
Right.
You are setting yourself for failure.
So you can set
You know
yourself
what I
for
mean?
failure.
So wrap
but-
that around a real life example.
So let's just say you putting together an event.
Yeah.
You putting together a fundraiser, and you have been slacking off. You got things, people you should have called, decorations and things you should have ordered by this time. You get to the last week, let's say last week, just to say it, and some of these things you don't get, but you've known about it for 3 months, and you're not knocking off the list. You're not able to get everything because you waited to the last minute when you knew about it. So the event happens,
Okay.
but you don't have all the pieces because
So
you waited
Dev-
too
And it's
long.
not even the
No,
level it
Chris,
could be.
the event happened, right?
The event happened.
So you did not fail. Did the event happen?
Yeah.
Now, if the event did not happen, then you failed because you set something and it was supposed to be done or whatever case might be by deadline, and then the event never happened. That's when you can say we failed as a team or collaborative because we didn't do everything we need to do to have this show. If you had the show, it's a flawed show because you didn't have everything in place that you wanted, but the show happened.
So, Pastor, correct me. The Bible says that there is now, therefore, no condemnation for them that believe, right?
Yeah.
So is that not what he's saying?
Sure. I think
Sure.
I think that the only difference is what, even if we don't say failure, period, point blank, I think the moment is the expectation that you set on yourself.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's fair.
I fail myself because I suffer from what we call procrastination, right?
Right.
And I heard somebody say last week, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God will give you another chance to meet this mark in the future. And it's like, I failed myself because, what is wrong with you?
Sounds great, but I don't know if it's full of fluff and stuff.
It is, right? Because you don't, even if you
The
have,
way you view yourself, you held
even
yourself
if you
to certain
have the
standards,
event,
and you felt
it's,
like you
it's
let
not
certain stuff
excellent
down.
because you exceeded no expectations. Like, if you think you're going to come to my party and you're going to be like, yeah, well, it'll be food there. I'm sure Chris will have a DJ, da-da-da-da. I don't want to just meet the bare minimum. Like,
But that's integrity, and I think that's what we talk
that's
about a lot
integrity.
in this house is integrity. And
that's failure to me.
so one of the reasons why I like starting off with definitions
So
and
wise.
so that
I'm
we
going to be
can
mad
have a
successful then.
base.
If y'all think I'm never going to be a failure, I'm going to be mad successful.
I wonder
You
if
can
failure
be.
is a term to
That-
keep us shackled
Yeah.
to our old nature.
Failure is a term for me. That is my coal and my caboose. Like,
Coal and caboose.
but it's what keep me going for real. Like, I never want to hear that ever. Like,
That you failed?
fail.
Why would you hear it?
Huh?
Why would you hear it?
Call
Who would
yourself
tell
a
you?
failure.
I said I failed in moments. Failed and a failure is totally different. I done had bum moments, but I ain't a bum. Like, so now you trying to call me a bum. That's why I got to hear for y'all got to see a WWE match. But nah, I understand. So I think that's the division of successfulness and failure that keeps me going. Like, I always want to stay more successful than I do failure. And I
Drop
think
the ball. I like
Huh?
that word. I like dropping the ball.
that's not a word. That's
I mean,
yeah.
that's a phrase. Whatever.
Yeah, but I
yeah.
never want to drop the ball. Like, I always want to hold myself to a level, because if you think you're going to get bare minimum dealing with me, you can accept anybody. You can call anybody to preach if you just going to get bare minimum. But I want you to know, when you get me, you get the whole package. Like,
I feel
ego
like
stroking.
he said he
Brother
gonna dance.
Devin has a lot to say, but can I ask one more question?
Go ahead.
And I told you this weeks ago when you started talking about this. I just want to challenge you a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like the mantra or the banner that you carry has to do with public ministry.
Yeah.
Is there ever a time that we'll get to the personal Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's really just inevitable timing. Like, you have to, like, it's that girlfriend that you had at school, and you only knew her from first period to seventh period, and then when Christmas break come, you got to kick it with her outside of school, and you start to learn more about her, and you be like, dang, I really don't like her. Like, I'm okay with people not liking me, but I don't think I get the opportunities to really share the transparency. Does that make sense?
But you do.
How so?
Every day. That goes back to last week. When you step in the room, you're always able to be yourself, right?
Yeah, but I think I'm not.
So you give us the transparency.
These questions, I'm not even gonna say.
You're living through perception, Chris.
What does that
That's
mean?
why you keep feeling like you failed.
We're going to call you
We
the
thank you
doctor
for
of the
joining
hour. Because the
Next
truth
week
is,
on
I
Dr.
wonder.
Phil.
We're not trusting him. He don't even got on pants in the pulpit. It's just inevitable timing, for real, and it's always an impasse of what we do. Like, just I think
I feel like you came to an impasse with perception, Chris.
Yeah, and I think as we grow, and we grow, but as we grow in conversation, I think this gives people a chance to know not only the real me, but the real, yeah.
But I think psychiatrist Biko
Does
would
he
say,
even have a BA?
listen, he's got a PhD.
Got a PhD.
I think what he's saying though is that a lesson that we have to wait for time, or is that a decision on you?
Yeah, I think it's even a decision on me. Like, if y'all just want me to start blurring my info, I'm trying not to make this the Chris show. You know what I mean? I'm not trying not to make this all about me, but
'Cause you
I
can
think
talk.
I think with time it'll come. Honestly, I think everybody, it's just the same around everybody. When you start kicking around me, you know, you saw, but as we kicking around each other more, you get to learn more about me, or you get to see how I handle myself in certain situations. And I think it'll just grow. I want you all watching, I want to never have a line of separation. I want the same people that view me from the front and the same people that view me from the back to be able to see me from 360.
We need more front end than the back.
Yeah, more front end than the back end. But yeah.
So you said that you never wanted to be divided within yourself, which is what Bigo talks about, the dual personality. I have to be a minister, and then I get to come home with you all and be your friend.
Sorry, let's fix that. I don't go home with anybody. I live by myself. I want you to fix that right.
Sorry.
They don't know who the you all is.
Sorry.
It might be a whole group.
That was me trying to make a point. Sorry. But you just recently got married, am I understanding that? Or about to get married? Getting married? What do you take? Because I think you might, how old are you? 28. So you're the middle range here. What does leaving singleness, expecting to walk into marriage look like? Because he talked a little bit about father and son. What does that look like for you?
So for me, it is perspective.
Powerful. That word is powerful.
It is perspective, as I mentioned previously, with just roles and things that you do in your singleness. You now are thinking for two. That's a little bit more weight. You know, it's easy to make moves and do things as an individual, but you have to think how it affects your partner. You have to respect what is going on in your partner's world too as you make plans. I'm growing. I'm learning. I could definitely say that. I've been single longer than I've been, married in a relationship. So, am I perfect? No, but I'm seeing how my singleness, lifestyle I was as a single person is changing. I hope I begin to think a little bit more deeply about, being considerate,
Yeah.
time.
So we've got a young man that's about to be married that's thinking about having to divide yourself now from one mentality into two. We've got a father who's had to divide his thinking not only for whomever the mother is, but for now the way you have to live your life with the son. Because the things that you could not think about then, you have to think about now. Mm-hmm. What's one of the biggest complexities with being a father?
Understanding he's just a child.
You got to say that louder for the people.
Understanding he's just a child. Because, boy, Cuddy be working me. Cuddy be a handful sometimes. But understanding he's just a child. So it's been plenty of times where even when me and his mother was together, you could always be like, or I say like probably when we first separated or whatever case may be, it'll be a thing where you'll get in routine of I'm living my life, or like especially on the early years when he's 1 or something like that, it's set in, but it hasn't set in that, man, I gotta call and check on him every day. I have a child. I can't no longer just go 24 hours and not check in with someone. I have someone there I have to check in with at some point in time, period, point blank.
I'm going to get on this subject and off of it real quick. Are you telling me that we have to respect children as though they matter?
Yes.
Even when they don't realize they matter?
Right, exactly. Because it goes back to the question you asked at the beginning. What division did you come with? Did you encounter as a young age to now? So that division matters. So me being as an adult and me knowing that now, especially knowing like what I would have, I'm trying to be what I was looking for. So I have to understand that that plays a part now. That if I don't respect him being here, then that's where our division might come, our separation of whatever thing might come in. So I have to try my best to. I might not be the best YouTube dad or nothing like that. I don't just engage with everything with him. But in general, I have to respect that. Okay, Mason, when you call on me or whatever may have you, I have to come. Like, it's been plenty of times I drop whatever, or I won't do certain things because I have him, or I know I got to get him. Like, some people, they might, if I know I can drop him off somewhere, I can do that. I don't even play into those type of fields for the most part. Like, I respect him even now before it gets too far.
And so I guess this is the wrap-up cue. Is that what I'm taking over here?
It wasn't
Do we
supposed
have
to
to?
be, but
Because I told you.
Okay.
I was just telling him to gear up, but I guess he felt something in his heart.
He's
He
anointed.
feels something in his heart.
So here's the last question then. Because he's a young man that's looking to be 2-to-1.
Yeah.
He's a young man that went from 2 to 3 to 2. Here's my question for you, and there's one answer that you cannot give.
Yeah, what's that?
What has you most divided? And it can't be being a preacher.
Yeah. What has me most divided is the acceptance. Not even as a preacher. I think I still have the same gift as any other preacher, but I do not plan to live my life in a box like most preachers should. I don't plan to.
Should or do?
Huh?
You said like most preachers should.
Or do.
Okay.
Or nor do I plan on even selling my product or giving my product away the same way that they do. I think where we are headed in the time that we're living in culture and technology and everything, people say that culture advances every 10 years, but the church advances every 20 years. And I'm looking to bring something new to the table for real. Like, I'm not looking to be suited and booted every week. Like, and I know y'all watching, those who follow me on Instagram, I done got a little bit of sauce now. I know how to dress a little bit. But I'm looking to come to church in this type of gear every week. Like,
Because of me.
but I'm looking to come to church in this type of gear every week. Like, I'm not looking for church to be what it was. I don't even know if the pews and this type of setup is even what I'm gearing for. Like, I'm looking to not be what religion has made me be, but be who I want to be, hold myself as a standard as Christ, as our relationship with Christ gives me, but being able to live my life and not owe any apologies or try to hide it from anybody. I think that is the hardest division that I have, like doing what y'all say is right versus what I know the relationship with me and Christ is like, yeah, I can go party, I can go have fun, I can go on vacation, and guess what? God still loves me. But guess what? I grew up with great-grandparents and people in the church saying, like, yeah, you don't do that because mama and them, big mama and them said we shouldn't. Or, you know what I mean? So that's the division that I have, like, perception, like accepting, being able to just.
You got to talk in the microphone.
I kind of want to talk to him separately so he can say it.
But perception, like, just doing what I want to do and being unapologetically me. Like, because this is who I am. And guess what? People still follow me. People still invite me to preach. People still invite me to do funerals because people are looking for authenticity. And I think as easier as I can be authentic with me, like, because I'm comfortable with who I am, I'm just not comfortable showing everybody yet. But I think that's the biggest division.
I still don't think you got to my question because I wanted you to give me an example that had nothing to do with the church.
Uh-huh.
Your answer had everything to do with the church.
I mean, that's me, though. And I think that's the accepting it. Like, I'm no longer apologizing for, like, giving church references or because that's me. As I can still tell you about the outside world, but I can still tell you about this because that's who I am. Like, It's just who I am. I have friends who go to church. I got friends who, he ain't came to church since 87. Like, but it's just who I am, like, and I think, guess what? None of them be like, you fake, or guess what? If I still go preach, he be like, well, go do your thing, bro. Hit me up when you done. Or if I be like, I'm going to go kick it with Biko at the shop, it's, all right, well, hit me up when you done. Nobody sees me because I'm authentic with them. I just want to be authentic with perception.
All right. I feel like that's a good place to land tonight.
Yeah, before we land, let me just share some good news. Since I am church, since I am a preacher, since this is what I do, we talk about relationships being broken. We talk about division in relationships and friendships. And then for those of you who don't know Christ, I want you to know about a relationship that just will never fail. Like, it will never be let down. It will never hurt you. You won't have any heartbreak. You may have some church hurt, but that's by the people in the church, not from Christ itself. Listen, I found my best friend when I accepted Christ. There's somebody I can talk to, I can cry to, I can be transparent with. He goes with me wherever I go. I never have to look over my back and worry about anything, because I know even though I may encounter something, it's just there for an obstacle, but not there to defeat me. Because of the God that I serve, I shall never be defeated. And so the scripture says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That's Jesus. That's whosoever believe in him, you shall not perish, but you shall have everlasting life. That doesn't mean that your time on earth won't end, but that means when you close your eyes, to be absent from the body means to be present with the Lord. So if you don't know Christ, I invite you to get to know him. Listen, we have grown up under this standard that the church has set, that you say you have to come to church every Sunday to be a Christian. You have to join a ministry. You need to be a missionary. You must wear all white. And let me tell you, those times are over. God is looking for some people who want a genuine relationship with him, people who wake up in the middle of the night confused and knowing that they can call on him, people who don't know what's next in their lives and he can offer guidance. And I just want to offer that to you. Listen, you will never meet a relationship like him. And if you've never known God before, it doesn't mean that you won't have a life of obstacles, but it means that you shall never have to go through them alone. And that's all I want to say. So I do thank my brothers for joining us for another week of a Fly on the Wall discussion. This was episode 2, as we talked about the vision, what it means in life and what it means in love. And next week, I don't really know where we're headed. And I think that's the cool thing about this. We don't get to practice. We don't have no script. What you want to say, Bika?
I feel like we might need a part 2 to this, because
Yeah.
in the text we never got to what could we do differently in those divisions and stuff like that. I don't feel like we ever got to that.
And so I'll be absent next week because I'm not here to take no accountability. But no, but yeah, tune in next week, next Monday at 8 p.m. Go tell your friends, go share it. I'm excited about what this is. Go add the Summit Conference on Facebook right now. Go add the Summit Dayton on Instagram. It is a vision that God gave me on Christmas Day. I woke up not to any big spectacular gifts, but God gave me this vision to create a platform for young people, youth, young adults to come together and to lift up the name of Jesus, not through sermons, not through songs, but more through anything, through authenticity, being who we are, sharing our message, sharing our gospel, and letting people get it where we hand it to them. So I thank you all for joining us. I do apologize for going a couple minutes over, but I know you all had no problem with it, because like, this is just authentic, this is real, and this is what people need to hear. So I thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, go add the Summit on Facebook and Instagram. Until we meet again next week, have a good one.